Hey there, today I am taking you on a quick art journal journey as I complete a few pages that I have left that are remaining. I had put down like paint and collage and made marks, but I hadn't quite just like, this isn't exactly how I want to leave them. Now, granted, in your art journal or sketchbook, you are entitled to do whatever you want. You're entitled to leave pages blank. You can just put a swatch of color across the front top. Nobody cares. It's yours to complete. But for me, I really like just kind of finishing a page, even if well, certainly it's not perfect for sure, but I like having like a sense of like, oh, what was I doing there? I kind of want to, close it out because it already has something down and I want to respond to whatever is there, even if it's just putting collage paper down over the top. So anyway, I want you to come along with me as I finish out my art journal. It's a pretty good size one. And I think there's about 60 pages in there, and I started it last year in June of 2022. So it took me about a year to finish. I do work in about 3 or 4 other art journals at the same time, and often I'm working on canvas or different, substrates. But what I'm hoping is this inspires you to go back and take a look at your art journal, your sketchbook, and go, oh, is there a little something else I could do here? Is there a way to finish up? Now, like I said before, you do not need to finish one of your books. You can start on something new anytime. But for me, there's just something about having a sense of closure and an ending, putting it aside and then starting a new one. So join me on this adventure to finish my art journal. To begin, I'm going to start with something easy. I do have a number of pages in here that I want to finish up, but this first one is I had collaged this portrait in here, this charcoal portrait, and I realized it just needed a little something. It needs a little more contrast around the side. So I pulled out a couple colors, the bright aqua green and the raw umber, and I'm going to kind of mix those together and go around the edge. And I think I also grabbed, I have this little tub of Blick acrylic white, titanium white paint that I'll probably be using a bunch. And I think I might add a little bit, some highlights in her face. So anyway, we'll just see what happens. But let's just get started. I'm going to mix these two together. And it is a little trickier on this palette paper because it doesn't want to lay flat. I just feel like it needs, like to integrate with the page and have some to tie this color in down here. It doesn't have to be everywhere, but just kind of framing it a little bit. So yeah, I think that's actually might be good enough, just like that. So fairly simple, And I did grab a couple just filbert brushes, which are my favorite. I do love these Simply Simmons because they are rather inexpensive. And I just want to add, I think I'm just going to add a little bit of highlight in her cheeks and on her nose. I don't know what, I don't know, just naturally where it would be. I don't have the reference photo. I don't even know what I used for this. Maybe I didn't even have a reference photo. Let's pretend the sun's coming this way or the light. Let's just kind of give a little bit of lightness there. Maybe what we need, maybe I'll take this bigger brush and just even add a little bit of this. Just, wow, really going rogue here. Let's just add a little bit of that color here, just to kind of differentiate between her hair. Let's make it messy, but just to kind of add a little bit of contrast. So, this, obviously these aren't perfect, but they're just like, okay, I had popped that in there as a no-brainer. And I could even grab another piece of charcoal. I'm looking for a piece of charcoal pencil or a Stabilo pencil. And just, if I wanted to kind of run it off the edge, I could do that too. And just kind of firm this up a little bit so it's not quite so even. Kind of like that better. Maybe have her go off the page. Okay, so I think that's good. It's as simple as that. I think I might add a little bit of light color on her lower lip. I might actually give her some white in the corners of her eyes too. And just a little bit right there. Don't want to overdo it because it's, it's kind of done. I'm just wanting to touch up the page, but I feel like that's just right there. Makes me feel happy, and I can have closure to this page. And let's find the next page that needs to be done. For this one, I think I'm also just going to use paint just to tidy it up. I think this was one I did as a practice with the inks, alcohol inks, or not the alcohol inks, the acrylic inks, in a prior video. But so I decided, since I already had paint out on my palette, I will just continue using these, but I did add a yellow oxide and a Payne's gray, and I grabbed some more paintbrushes, and I have some other things just out of the side of the camera, because I'm not really sure how this is going to go, but I do like this, the brown here that is on this already. So, but I want also to be bold, and because it doesn't matter, and I'm just trying to tidy up pages so that, you know, I can have closure to this art journal and move on to a new one. And as you can see, a lot of they already have stuff on them. I mean, so anyway, okay, enough talking. Let's just get on with it. I'm going to grab some white out of there. I think I'm going to start with a lighter color, maybe pull in some of that yellow. Because I like that. I like this darker brown. So let's just see how that goes, if I can kind of keep that. And, you know, so I suggest, if you have pages in your art journal that you feel like are unfinished, then that is a great time to practice. And you can see I'm pulling in different colors because I'm bringing in the yellow and the yellow oxide and the raw umber with that white, and it also had a little bit of that bright aqua green. And I like that there's some variations in the color. So we'll just see how this goes. But yeah, I would suggest, if you have pages like this that you go, oh my gosh, what the heck? It's so crazy. Because it is crazy, but it's like you were practicing and experimenting and doing different things. That is so easy to paint over. And then the lovely part is that you end up with other brush strokes and different things underneath. And I just feel like that's the best. That's just, to me, it's the best. Now, some people would say, "Oh, I feel like I'm wasting paint," and okay, and I'm bad that way too, because I feel like each tube is X amount, but okay, if it's sitting on my shelf, as you've seen some of these other videos where I've let things get completely dried out. Now, is that smart? I mean, I've already bought it, so why not use it? And yes, some supplies do cost more than others. So you do want to, you know, be cognizant of that fact. But at the same time, if you've already bought it, you should probably be using it. So that's what I always tell myself. Okay, so I'm just going to make some lines in here. I'm not sure I like that reddish color on the outside, but I really do like this brown. So let's just grab another brush. I'm going to get it a little bit wet. Do I go over it with the Payne's gray? Such a decision. And does it really matter? And maybe I'll just add some of that raw umber in there. Let's just see what happens. It doesn't matter. Even though I like that, I feel like I can still use it kind of as the shape, and I don't have to think of it as so precious, right? I mean, yeah. So let's see. And then I can decide what parts I like and what parts I don't like. So I don't like the symmetry that's going on. So, but yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay. And this ultimately doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be fixed per se. So let's grab it. Let's grab this. Oh, you know what? Let's grab my beloved Catalyst wedge, which I love because then I can drag it down, and this is my favorite thing to do, is use this Catalyst wedge when I feel like, oh, there's something so cool going on and I don't know what to do to take the next step. Now, already, I like this better. So I'm probably not going to do a lot more to it, because the point isn't to start from scratch. The point was, oh, I just want to kind of make a few changes on here so that I can, you know, close out this chapter, so to speak, in this art journal. And so now what I would be doing is, you know, I have some darks. I have this lighter color that I'm using. Now the thing is, what parts do I want to edit out? What parts don't I like? And now all of a sudden, with this darker color, I'm liking this brown. So as you're working on your own, like you have some crazy background, just start going, oh, I kind of like what's happening here. And maybe I don't like what's happening here so much, because it's, you know, so I'm just going to edit that out. And then immediately, yeah, I like that better. And I wouldn't have thought I wanted this, but yeah, that's fine. Now maybe I need a little something up over here. So let's go back to this, and let's just drag this all the way there. And because it's maybe too precious, we're going to pull it. And then all of a sudden, Yeehaw, it looks better. Okay. Let's do a little bit more light so that we can have, I kind of like this. Do I extend that? Maybe I do. It doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. Maybe I don't. So maybe I don't want it going off the page here. And maybe I want to have some light areas over here, or maybe this is too similar to this. So because I want it here, I don't want it here. So we'll just take that out. So, and maybe I don't want this perfect circle. So maybe maybe it's just this top part. And there we go. Okay. So, okay, we're almost done. I feel like it doesn't matter. It was more of an experiment. I just wanted to have some closure, right? So you have to keep talking yourself down. At least I do. It's like, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Because the goal is practice, experiment. What do I like? What don't I like? And I think for now, this is just an art journal. And, to kind of give myself confidence for other things, I can just make a lot of colors and a lot of marks. And there you go. I think, is it perfect? Is it ideal? No, but I have some bigger shapes, some smaller shape. I mean, I have different things going on. I think I'm going to leave it here. I might do one more pull with my Catalyst wedge because I do like a little bit of the smearing that goes on with that. Some people would want, hard edges, but we have some hard edges and we have some soft edges that way. So, okay, this one is done. Let's go on to the next one. All right, this was one I was not going to fix, but I thought, I have this color palette out. So I think what this needs is I do like a strong monotone kind of palette, but I feel like if I had either the marks need to be darker or the background. So I think I have this darker color and I'm going to mix it actually I'm going to get a little bit more. And I think I'm just going to put the darker color on top because I do like the variation in the background. And I think if I tried to paint around it, which I could, and I still might, we'll see. If I don't like this, I might, but it would take away. Now this isn't getting quite, I don't know if well, this is this is the thing. You just don't know. And of course I'm mixing that paint with other colors. So, some of them are darker. And I do like the variation with the yellow ochre, but let's just see how it looks when we're all done, if we like it or not. Okay, so the idea is sometimes you need to have even though I don't like a lot of contrast, sometimes you need to have you need to have a little bit. Now, I'm not sure that was necessarily the ideal color to put on there. I think what I'm going to do is grab one of my mark making tools and I'm just going to scratch in to a little bit across the page and just add some interest in another way too. So, which I'm a big, big, big fan of that. So, okay, I think that is good. That was a quick one. I wasn't even going to do this page, but I think I do like it a little bit better now. And fingers crossed that I don't come back and paint it with a different background. Okay. All right, I was not going to paint over this one, but I've decided since I'm on a roll, I do not like the white. I feel like I like the circles. These are so simple. When I really can't create anything, I just go and make circles or a really basic shape. So this was probably a day when I didn't know what to do, but it looks like there was already a background. Let's make some circles. And then later I probably went in and painted white. I do not like the white. So before I get rid of this paint, I feel like it's a good, I can take a bunch of my white here and just lightly, it doesn't take much, color to pigment to tint a white, but I want it something a little bit different. So I don't know if you can, it's just a very, very mild. So let's just, that's probably, might even be more than I want, but, and then I'm just going to go around, let's get a little bit lighter in some spots. And I also don't like it to be exactly the same everywhere. So I like the variations in the color. So these are just fun things. As you're doing this, you can be figuring out what you like. Okay, I don't like, this is too messy for me. I need it exactly. I need the circles to be circle and I don't need them to be, wonky like this. So the great thing about doing weird things in your art journal or your sketchbook or whatever you want to call it is that there is no risk and it doesn't matter. And the best part is if you can figure out, like, what do I like? What parts do I like? Do I like the messy? Do I like things to have clean lines? So for me, I like messy. I don't like it to be perfect. So these kind of things are good. And in fact, even just when I was looking at it and I was trying to decide, should I do it or not? It's like, why not? Will take 2 seconds, as you can see. Now, do I like kind of this? No. What am I going to do? I'm going to take my catalyst wedge and I'm going to kind of go across it. Will that change the circles? Probably, but you can already see there's other colors scraped across and I kind of like that. Now, and if I don't like what happens, I can probably mix up some more green and go back over it. But the paint isn't super thick, so I think, yeah, you can see it's like it's okay. And I'm actually now scraping a little bit harder to try to get some scrapes in there. But I might also take my tool again, just any old, this is actually a paintbrush that the end is completely hard. And I'm just going to go over it with, see if I can create any texture into those lines, into the paint, because it's not that thick and it's already starting to dry. So it's warm here today in Seattle. So, okay, that's it. That's all I'm doing on this page. That's it. For this page, it's very dark and it was a little daunting because I was like, there's a lot of layers and a lot of texture on it, but I just like, oh, I feel like I'm starting from scratch. So I decided to do some collage. I have these little pieces that I cut out when I make collage. Sometimes there's little pieces that are left over from papers like, sorry, I'll grab one here. These pages that I use, you know, so like this, like I might put marks on it and then I might cut it out. So anyway, so I went through the box and I found some papers that were light. Since this is so dark, I mean, obviously I could have started from scratch and just made a whole thing, but I decided I was just going to use these strips of paper and just create, you know, kind of almost like a little fence along the bottom. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. So I was just kind of messing around with it a little bit. I like this little piece here. Anyway, so I have my matte medium here. And, you know, for the most part, when I put this on, there's parts that aren't painted on these strips. That part's not even going to show up. And then I thought I'd use this one to kind of go along the line, like kind of like a fence, I guess, but I want it to be wonky. And then I'm not really sure up here. I was thinking maybe I would, I don't know. Initially, I have these letters here that I've done. I was thinking about putting some letters up there. I was thinking about writing something. You know, not every page in your art journal has to be done or perfected. I just am like I said, I'm at the tail end. It feels like it's just about done. So I kind of wanted to have some closure. And I think often I put off like pages like this that, wow, it's just really dark and there's nothing really to respond to other than I know I need to bring in some light, which are these collage papers. So I'm going to grab a brush. I'm just going to, I have my paint off to the side because I'm not so certain I won't use some on here. I just don't know. So I'm going to start with this bigger piece and I'm just going to put them down and let's just see what happens, right? There's no rhyme or reason. Okay. Except for I do know I don't want them all completely straight. Okay, well, that one's going to go there. Well, maybe not. I don't want it quite that high. And this deli paper, definitely, it is very thin. It goes on. It collages down very easily. I can't even get my words out today. Goodness. Okay. So, and then I was going to put this one across kind of like a fence. I don't know. Although I'm not trying to make something. And I do like this little piece here. So I thought I'm just going to put that on. So, okay. So we have so now we're done. That didn't take very long because I kind of had already decided off camera what I wanted to put down. I do like these little, you know, yellowish orange spots. This is kind of dark up here, but at the same time, I'm just not sure if what I want to do. So, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, maybe some words. Maybe I'll do it with a paintbrush. I'll just paint something on in black versus using collage papers. So let's get some, I'm going to get some of this, of the fluid acrylic that is really more runny, making a mess on my paper palette. And then I'm going to get a brush like, let's see what we got here. So, because I don't want it to be perfect. So it's a bigger round brush, you know, because if the minute it starts feeling like, okay, I got to find it perfectly, then forget it. Okay. So, you know, the other thing is people are like, what do I write? What do I write? And I think I'm just going to do, this is something that I've been thinking about a lot, is finding your own voice, finding your own creative style, not copying other people, even though in the beginning, I think we all, you know, we have to start somewhere. So we have to copy because we have to figure that out. But then as we go along, we're realizing, oh, I like this part that they do. I like that part that they do. So I'm just going to kind of in a big, unreadable, you know, cursive kind of, write that in. Okay. And no one has to really know what it is. Now, after doing this, I'm feeling like I need to bring in some dark. So I might kind of, even though this background was fairly dark, what I might do is kind of some of this and then take well, okay, I have a messy paper towel over here. I'm just going to use it. I think just, no, I'm not. Okay, let's use our favorite catalyst wedge and kind of pull it back a little bit and make this whole thing a little bit messy, which is, of course, my favorite. But, you know, you want it to be kind of, yeah, there you go. Okay, that turned out better than I would have thought. Now, honestly, a lot of times I would also pull through the words, but because you can barely read the words as it is, I think I'm just going to leave it like that. I think that's good for now. So, okay, that's finished. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, for this one, I think I'm going to turn this into a vase. I can kind of see the outline from this was stenciled on with these letters, but then I can see the shape of a cup or a vase or something in here, which is actually more like a cup or a bowl or a vase. But I'm just going to do a quick botanicals in here because the goal is just to kind of complete some pages so we can have closure. So I think I'm going to leave this and then paint around the outside. I have a little bit of blue here, which it looks like I'm making a mess. And I'm going to mix that with a little bit of the green and just create a background color that is, and then, yeah, then we'll go over it with whatever flowers. Sometimes I like the colors not to be totally mixed, just kind of lends itself a little bit cooler effect. And I think I will do a little bit darker down here. Let's see, let's get some Payne's Gray in here versus the black. And I can see around the edge. Okay, there's the edge. Okay, so this is nothing perfect, obviously, but I just wanted to kind of cover that up so that we could see our vase. And maybe what I'll do is take a smaller brush and actually with that black, just kind of go around the edge of it so I can kind of see it a little bit better. Okay. And of course, you know what I like to do is pull with my catalyst wedge, just kind of, I want some of that texture to come through. So if I smooth it out, then a lot of times you can still see it. All right. Yeah. And there we go. Okay. So the next thing I think I'm going to do is take like a oil pastel. Hopefully it'll write over this because it's still kind of damp, and just kind of make some, you know, like obviously you see what I'm doing, just some kind of marks, maybe some leaf shapes, because this is not about, you know, making perfect botanicals or anything like that. So actually kind of wanting, what do I want this to be down here? I guess maybe the dark is good. I might go in, it's kind of bugging me a little bit. I have this scrubber brush and I'm going to scrub in some color, or not color, black, maybe a little bit of the Payne's Gray, and maybe a little bit of the blue. Okay, because it's kind of, and I'm going to make a flatter bottom there, I think. Okay, and actually, because this is semi-dark, we probably are going to need the rest of this to be a little bit lighter so we can see what's happening. Okay. So, all right, there we go. There's our bowl / vase. Okay. And maybe I do want, well, it's just hard to know, isn't it? Okay. I'm going back and forth trying to get the shape here of what I'm trying to work off of. And I guess we can worry about that later. I don't know why it's bugging me so much, but okay. So let's say we got some leafy things going on here. I'll paint a few more. And I don't want that paint. I like that oil pastel, that color. That's good. Okay. And I don't think I'm going to bring it into the bowl. It's as if the vase, this is, the outside of the vase. So, and maybe what I need to do is then let's bring in, like a little bit of flowers with this pretty pinkish coral. I like that. And just kind of add that on top, maybe some yellow, wherever I see something that doesn't have something. And yeah, I like it already. Okay, it's very simple. Okay, so let's bring in our mark making tool and just maybe down here, let's define the bottom where it seems like the bowl, the vase would be sitting. And then we're going to add back in some dark color. Okay, on top of that. And then let's add some more white, and a little bit of that blue, a little bit of the yellow. I get to green really fast and just kind of thickly go over that. Okay. And it'll be easy enough to paint over that again if it, wipes out some of our flowers. But it will kind of help define the shape of the bowl that the flowers are in. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to do is, even for this, I might, draw some shapes just with my mark making tool, because now I've got the thickness of the paint. It's pretty heavy, and that will add to it. I kind of made a crisscross pattern here as if it was for a table. And I do like even how the floral is coming through very lightly, but it's cool. I like how that's working. It's very subtle, but I like it. And I'm kind of following, there are some textured marks that I'm not sure pick up very well, but they're kind of coming through. Let's grab those. Okay, I have the yellow here. Where did I do with the pink? The coral is here. And let's do a few more of the yellows. So, okay, I think that's pretty much going to be it. Maybe I'll add a little bit darker coral in on a few of these, just so a few of them stand out a little bit more. And okay, I think that is good. I can't resist making some marks down here. There are, let's see, what do I want to do? I guess I just want to make some, and then I'm going to smooth it out a little bit. And that had some color in it, which I like. Okay, I like to bring some down here. And I think that's going to do it. I just want to keep it simple. And there is your bowl full of flowers. All right, for this one, I have decided I have all these papers that I really like, that I take book paper, and then when I have like all this paint when I'm left over, I will just paint that on top of book paper like this. And sometimes it turns out really cool, like this one. Now, interestingly, this has the X and so does this off to the side, but I'm going to collage this in here. And then I think I'm going to because I have all this leftover paint, I'm going to kind of help it out a little bit with some of the paint and finish it up. But I have my matte medium, and so I'm just going to collage this down really quick. And then this is the last page. So thanks for sticking in there with me while I finished up these pages. As you can see, they all had something on them, but they weren't quite done, in my opinion. So, okay. So we've got this collage down, and let's see what we can do around the edges. Let's move that out of the way. Okay. I'm feeling like we want to integrate it, so let's add a little bit of the black around the edge, just kind of to help it feel more cohesive. And I'm going to just kind of extend that a little bit. Let's see, and then across the top. So not, full on, but all right. And it's interesting because a lot of these same colors I've been using, these greens, and let's see, though, let's take a little bit of this green and mix this in with some yellow and see what we end up with. Maybe a little bit more vibrant green than this. This is very dull, which I do like. And actually, I think what I want to do is, even though I just painted the outside black, I think I want to add some, should probably wait for it to dry, but I'm impatient. So let's add, not all the way around. Now, of course, that maybe isn't what I wanted, but let's, hey, our catalyst wedge is the hero, and it always makes everything, in my opinion, look better. So, and it makes me, if I think I've made a mistake, I'm getting this on the edge now. Okay. Because I can always go back in with the black, right? I mean, that doesn't change. So let's say I want to have black around the edge. I want to have some shapes or whatever. I can do that. I can just add the black back in. It's not like it's forever. Now, maybe I want, running out of that dark color, I want to extend that, and maybe I want to add in some, a slightly different shade of the green, because I have kind of the basic format of it, but maybe I want to have a little bit, some differences. So, okay, let's add some green. I just like these greens so much. So maybe I don't do it. If you like something and it's working, why change it, right? So, okay. Okay, well, that isn't exactly what I was thinking. Okay, maybe I need to make some marks in here. And maybe I need to make a much duller green to kind of go with that. That's kind of a gray green. And maybe that's what I need. Maybe that's the problem, to kind of have it match the vibe of what I got going on already, instead of bringing in something really bright. So, wow, even that's still really bright. Okay, so maybe it won't match. Maybe I just need to, let it go. And it is, sorry about that if you can't see that right there, because it's got a mind of its own. It's one of the last pages. So, I don't know. I feel, does it need some light somewhere? Probably does need some lights. It's like you can only have dark so much of the time, and then you do need to add in some, something different. So, okay, this isn't going in the exact direction I had hoped, but like I was saying, not everything is going to be perfect, but it's more like, okay, I feel like it's better than what it was when I started. And I think that is part of the process is, what did I have before? What do I like now? How do I make it better? So some mark making is always seems to make things better. Can I make a little bit of this duller, or do I need to add the bigger swath of black here? Just not sure. Maybe we do. Okay. Doesn't hurt. Maybe it doesn't go all the way through. Maybe that's part of it. Goes through up here. Maybe it's bolder on one side than the other. It's always good. Yeah, this feels like a little door. I like that. Let's see. Maybe I need some more colors, but the problem is I'm at the end and, you know, like, do I really need more colors? Probably not. But everything is getting a little, I mean, it's very green, which I guess is fine, but definitely not necessarily the right shade I'm going for. So, okay. I think we're going to call it good. I think I will add a little bit more in here. Because I could kind of continue to mess around with it for a while, but I think the point isn't, you know, again, it's like, okay, is it better than it was? Yes. Do I like it? Yeah, I kind of do. Maybe, you know, and I could keep tweaking it. And, you know, maybe I will, maybe I will keep tweaking it. It gets a little bit lighter. It's so gotten very dark over here. So maybe it needs, you know, some light and contrast. And maybe it needs just to be pulled across. And maybe that will help. Okay. Yeah. Catalyst wedge for the win again. So again, this was just like, how can I finish this? What can I make it look like? You know, yeah, maybe I bring in, you know, a pencil and do some little marks, which I always think is fun. And I love little tick marks. And this is something that, you know, you don't really see until you're, you know, up close, but which is fun because then you see things at a distance and then you see things, you know, kind of up close. And it just kind of creates more interest. And obviously you wouldn't need to do quite this many if you didn't want, but that kind of adds something. And you can just, you know, obviously keep going with it. So, but I think I'm going to call it good. I think my goal is accomplished, just to kind of finish up the art journal, and I will show everyone. I'll do another video later showing what's all the pages look like, because this took me about a year. I think the date at the front is June of 2022. So anyway, that just shows you just kind of keep plugging away. And I work in a whole bunch of different journals at the same time. So often they fill up and then I kind of set them aside and then I forget about them. And this one was kind of like, oh, I'm ready to bring in a new one because there's really not very many, you know, blank pages. And the ones that were, obviously, I was ready to be done with them. So anyway, all right, thanks for joining me. And I hope if you have an art journal that you are so close to finishing, not that you have to finish it. No one's telling you have to finish it, but it feels so good to have every page finished. And then you can move on to another book or another art journal.